Um, I'm here with my wife, Angie, my beautiful, loving wife. And today I want to talk about autism and her views on the different connotations of autism. So, honey, I'm so glad you're willing to discuss and speak with us today about this topic.
Thanks. I'm happy to be able to share my thoughts. And I do hope other autistic and other neurodivergent people will be able to open up as well and share their experiences from their own perspectives.
That's wonderful. So my first question is, what does the word autism mean to you?
Well, to me, that's a very complex question. We can go by the medical definition, which I and many others do not agree that it's even a medical condition in and of itself. So when I talk about what does the word autism mean, I won't really get into the medical definition.
Well, can you tell us more about that?
So the word autism is to me more like a broad generalization. It's like they want to take this huge grouping of vastly differing brain wirings and put them under one umbrella. And I don't really see the purpose of this. The only reason I can think of is that it's an easy way to round up, I guess you can say, people and ostracize a huge variety of people who are seen as outside the norm, and to make even narrower the margins of what is viewed by greater society as average or normal.
Okay, so you mentioned that they want to take this huge grouping of different brain wirings. When you refer to they, can you tell us more about what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I say they in regard to this topic, I mean professionals, health professionals, psychiatric professionals, teachers, doctors, groups of parents, or more notoriously, I won't name names, certain autism, quote, awareness groups, and also, well, society at large. And I don't mean to come off negative. I just want to prove that human diversity is so much more complex than what people think.
Tell me more about these certain, as you said, awareness groups. Do these groups support people on the autism spectrum, and in what way are they known for their notoriety?
Well, again, I don't want to name names, and I think a lot of autistic people and those who call themselves neurodivergent know which groups specifically I'm talking about. But these groups try to demonize autism, and thereby any individual with the autism label or their unique brain wiring, their unique way of thinking, interacting with, and existing in the world.
That is a very interesting point of view.
Yeah, we're all valuable. I mean, we all have our own unique contributions to society and are worthy of living our lives to the fullest. We are all needed, not for the same things, but for different things. We aren't, as humans, meant to be uniform. We're not robots.
I know you, and I know that we have discussed numerous times what neurodiversity and neurodivergent mean. But can you tell us once again, to our viewers who are maybe new, that don't understand the word neurodivergent, can you explain to us what that means?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So, neurodiversity, if you haven't heard of that, is a concept in which neurological differences or different brain wirings are part of normal human diversity and are absolutely not diseases or disorders. These brain wirings could be autism, ADHD, dyslexia, etc. And the term neurodiversity arose out of the autism rights movement and is embraced by autistic people who reject the idea that autism needs a cure. Who wants to be seen as something that is part of who they are as an individual is a disease and needs to be fixed. Just because society doesn't understand it?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I mean, right? And
totally.
So neurodivergent refers to any individual who is autistic on the autistic spectrum or anyone who has a neurological difference that is outside the socially accepted norm. Those that fall inside the socially accepted norm we refer to as neurotypical. So people who are not neurodivergent.
But you have said before, everyone is neurodivergent in some way.
I have said that simply because everyone is unique and everybody tries to think the same and be the same and act the same. And I don't really believe that's what we're here for. I mean, we're all different for a good reason.
I agree with you.
So, and if you take the term neurodiverse, not neurodivergent, neurodiverse, I mean, that really refers to all different brain wirings, including those that are seen as normal, even though most of us don't like that word because it's weird.
I don't like that word either.
Yeah, what's normal? I mean, we all know that normal is like, yeah.
Boring. Well, thank you for explaining that for us, honey. I know, seeing that I am your wife, that you have done so much research regarding and interacting with others in regard to neurodiversity, and you have so much to say about the topic. So again, thanks for sharing that with us. It's something that does need to be brought to people's attention, because people, neurotypical people, I guess you would say, might only have a very narrow and misinformed view of autism due to misinformation by professionals and awareness groups and negative and inaccurate portrayals in the media.
That's right. And this conversation, this movement is very long overdue. And I think people are starting to see the light about this.
I do have one more question for you, and that is, how do you respond or deal with people telling you that you don't have autism or you're not on the spectrum because you're not like so-and-so who is definitely autistic?
I'm so glad you asked that question, honey. I just want to say to these people, if you've met one person on the autism spectrum, you've met that one person on the autism spectrum. If you've met one neurodivergent, you've met one neurodivergent. As I've been saying, there are so many different brain wirings and ways of existing in this world, and only too few are accepted in our society. Autistic women especially are all too often misdiagnosed with something else like BPD, or not diagnosed at all, and a diagnosis is helpful in getting the resources you need in navigating this world.
For people that don't know what BPD is, what is BPD?
So, borderline personality disorder.
Okay. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, borderline personality disorder is something that people who are actually on the spectrum or neurodivergent are often misdiagnosed with. Because just women and men express themselves different anyway. So, but that's a whole nother topic, the difference between autism in men and women, for another day. So, people say it's not possible for us women to be autistic because we, for example, make eye contact, are self-aware, have empathy, are married, have kids, etc. And people say this about men too, not just women. That, oh, you can't be autistic because all these different things. And like I said before, people think this because the accepted medical and social views of autism are fraught with misinformation, biases, and do not take into consideration that everyone functions differently. I'll say it again and again. Everyone functions differently. For example, it is safe to say that autistic people do have empathy. We just all show it in different ways. And yes, some people on the spectrum can show empathy in a neurotypical fashion. It's not correct at all to say that autistic people don't have the capacity for empathy. On the contrary, I think that's half our problem. We feel too much and we don't know what to do with it. We can't make sense of it. So we just with tics and behaviors, and we just freak out. So
yeah, I mean, there is no way that you lack empathy. Yeah, sometimes you don't show that you understand or know how other person is feeling, but I know that you do, honey. And you simply express it differently. And I know, as wives tend to know these things about their partners, that you truly do care and are always thinking about others before yourself, sometimes too much.
Yeah, and I've heard it so many times. You don't look, seem, or act like you're autistic. So, the bottom line is that I am differently wired to the point of it affecting my daily life. And it always has since I was a child, but especially in my adult life, since there's no resources for someone who's never had a diagnosis.
But it's not too late to get a diagnosis.
No, it's never too late. And the reason why a diagnosis is important is because the world caters to a very narrow, socially normally accepted variety of people. So if you're outside of that, if you're on the margins of that, then yeah, you do need a little help navigating the world as it is. So, like I said, I am differently wired, and it affects my daily life, social skills, executive functioning, time management, and job retention.
What is executive functioning for people that don't understand that?
So, for example, your mind thinks you're going to do something. Okay, I'm going to go pick up that sock off the floor. And you just do it automatically. 1, 2, 3, you bend down, you pick up the sock, you retrieve it. Sometimes that doesn't work so well in the autistic brain. You have to go through so many steps in that simple action that most people don't have to think about. They just do it.
I see.
So, I know how to go pick up a sock without even thinking about it, but that's just like an example.
Right.
Like going and doing something that's in your mind that you want to do, performing an action that should be absent-minded for neurotypical people, but for autistic people, it takes a minute for us to process what we need to do next, the next step. Okay, now tie your shoes. Now put your coat on. Now, step by step by step.
I get it. Thank you for explaining.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm sure it's, other people were wondering too. So.
Okay, cool.
So, executive functioning, time management, and job retention. It is very well known that once autistic individuals reach adulthood, especially those that have gone undiagnosed, have a very hard time with jobs. And people who are textbook, quote, autistic are also misread, misunderstood, and are most certainly empathetic. We just, as I've said, don't always express ourselves the same way as neurotypical people do.
Well, I know I've said that was my last question, but I do have one more.
Oh, sure.
What do you say to someone who says, but my so-and-so that is autistic can't speak or can't walk or will never do this or that?
Oh, there is so much insight I could give to them. And first and foremost, they need to change their mindset completely. To think so negatively about your child because they function differently is just so wrong on so many levels. I know it must be hard to be a parent. I'm not a parent, but I know it's hard to be a parent in general. But if you have a kid who's marginally different than you and you just don't understand what's going on, I get it. I get it. But I can tell you right now that your child is talking. They are speaking. You just need to learn how to listen to them. Listen with different ears. See with different eyes. Pay attention to what your child is trying to say and do in their own unique way. We shouldn't force people to be and act and exist how they're not, because then you're totally changing who they are as a person. To say that your child can't or will never do this or that is such a negative outlook, and I have heard that from parents who I've had conversation with online. Well, you don't know because, someone with autism, they'll never be able to do this and they'll never be able to do that. And it's like, well, that's a very negative view of your own child from the get-go. Who are you listening to? Listen to your child. They are trying to tell you. They are trying to speak to you. They are trying to interact. The only way they were wired to be able to do. So, yeah, and again, autism is not a disease. It's a gigantic, and I mean huge, categorization of many different, diverse brain wirings, all of which serve a different purpose in human functioning.
Very well said, honey. And it's so profound what you said, and it makes sense. I want to let our viewers know about your documentary project that you're working on very hard, I might add. And that is called Neurodivergent, Our Own Perspective. You have a Facebook page for that, correct?
Yeah, so far we do have a Facebook page with a couple of videos so far in which autistic individuals share our experiences through our own perspective. I know there are so many others out there that can and have shared their stories, and each story will be different and unique in proving that human diversity is far grander than we can ever imagine. And this is the goal of my Envision documentary project. So check it out at facebook.com/neurodivergent movie, and I'll put that up on the screen so you can see how it's spelled. And if you or someone you know wants to submit a video diary of your own to this page of your autistic or other neurodivergent experience, please contact Haley Arcuri or myself, Angie Arcuri, in a direct message on Facebook.
Oh, thank you again, honey, for your valuable insight into autism and neurodiversity.
You're very welcome.
I myself did learn a few things that I didn't know before.
That's awesome.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
And I also just want to give a little plug for our channel here, though
Yes.
it doesn't completely always relate to neurodiversity. We are willing to interview anyone who is on the spectrum for our channel. If they have a loved one or a lover or a spouse, we'd love to interview you and learn how you conquer the world and have a relationship.
Share your stories of love and couplehood, or what you wish to find in a partner. Anything related to our channel, which has a lot to do with, partners and conquering love, conquering barriers in love.
You don't like that word, conquering love?
I don't, because it's not something you want to conquer or destroy. You want to embrace it in all its forms. So we want to hear your stories. So
so you can find our page on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Angie and Haley Present, all one word. And also our YouTube channel is Angie and Haley Present. And if you want to search for us on Instagram, you can type in #Angie and Haley Present, and there you will find a link to our YouTube as well.
Yes, and we need those subscribers. Keep the subscribing coming and click like and all that jazz.
Yeah, for sure. We want to be on the Today Show.
Yeah.
Shout out to Squirmy and Grubs.
Yeah, we love your guys' videos. You're doing a great job. Yeah, I just love that people can get the message out of interabled love and any kind of love that, erroneously people think is impossible. I think that's great.
Exactly. Well, thank you, honey.
All right, thank
Love
you.
you.
Love you too. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Bye.
Bye.